All right. Tim Kennett, one of my favorite guys out of Charlotte Jitsu Academy, one of my favorite roles out of that school, a great wrestler, has experience in MMA, but for the past 2 years, it's been all gas, no brakes on no-gi, and especially super fights like this one.
You love to hear that, though, send it.
Yeah. Well, the spoiler is that this young man is a month away from starting law school, so I think he's been trying to get it in while he can fit it in,
Well, his schedule's about to get crazy.
He will be going to Campbell, so he'll be local to the Triangle,
which
will be nice.
We'll keep him around.
Exactly. There's no way he won't have an opportunity to train here anyway. Briggs Pittman waiting for the green light from our production team. We got it. Brent Little versus Tim Kennett is on.
Briggs, one of the refs out here who truly just loves his job.
Yeah. Talking about a guy who, the way some black belts go in on techniques, he goes in on reffing.
Yes. Which is what you want.
Exactly. And Tim is definitely a guard passing machine. That may be the first successful cartwheel pass in Toro Cup history. Oh, and he's got that arm laced up. Brent Little rolls out with the hitchhiker. Brent Little's a little too content to be out of there right there. He was almost in disbelief himself.
What a start to the match.
Yeah, that looked like I feel like I've seen Jacob Polanski from Charlotte Jiu-Jitsu Academy try to hit that same kind of Kimura cartwheel pass entry. Wrist control for Tim again. That was what started all those problems just a few moments ago.
Outside of the initial bonus period here. That would have been sick, though.
Gotta pay for that law school somehow.
500 would help.
Digging on the stack pass, looking for the back is Tim. Brent has a odd approach, a slightly varied approach to guard than most people. I think it's kind of throwing Tim off a little bit because I think if there is one thing they do at Charlotte Jiu-Jitsu Academy, it's play seated guard. And I like the way Brent is wrist fighting. He's wrist fighting and forcing the weight into the hands downward. Like he's trying to make Tim pass on his knees or on it closer to his hands rather than more upright.
Little look at the clock just to see where we're at.
Yeah, he doesn't want to take a big risk to pass until points are on the line, I believe.
Honestly, I don't blame him for that. It's a good tactic.
Yeah. I heard a little inside scoopy rumor that there's been a bug virus flu type thing going around CJJA. So I'm always curious which athletes were able to avoid it and which ones were compromised in the last few weeks.
Who's going to show up
Yeah.
today?
I've never... Oh, man, Tim's on that Darce. Looks like he's pulling on it. But the leg in between for Brent Little was too much.
Good defense here from Brent.
Yeah, Brent's always active with his hips. He's always keeping his hips in the game and pointed at the opponent. Even just when he almost got his back taken, he just kind of pulled like panda guard right to his side just to get back to the guard as fast as possible.
Tim trying to find his opening here. Brent going to more of like a supine guard.
Tim more as soon as Brent came up from the supine, Tim got off of his knees. So I feel like he's willing to pass in more of like a body lock, knee forward, heavyweight position if it's supine. But as soon as his opponent is up and playing, he wants to circle. Not an uncommon approach, just worth noting.
A little less than a minute here from points.
This is where things get in my opinion, this is where things can get bad for Brent if he doesn't address it, which is Tim controlling your head. Tim has not been able to touch Brent's head for a lot of this match, but now he's starting to touch it at will almost. And there are a lot, like that overhead, that cartwheel style pass kind of opens up with a guillotine or a front headlock, or even just a float over grabbing the head can open up here. And especially when you start getting head to head into collar ties and stuff like that, Tim has that wrestling heavy background, so I can't imagine his collar tie feels pleasant.
I'd love to see another one, honestly. I'm down for the cartwheel pass.
I mean, he's waiting for that. I think he's waiting for that points to come on, so it's worth the risk of doing it. You're talking about when you watch this guy roll in the academy, especially with guys closer to his size like Owen Tipton, it is a non-stop scramble fest. So I doubt he's going to get tired easily.
Ooh.
Now he's moving and grooving, but Brent Little's keeping up with him.
And you see, like, points came on, and that pace just
emerged,
picked up a little bit.
Yeah, the urgency emerged. Brent's trying to get upper body strong and wrestle up. That's not a great idea with Timmy.
Ooh.
Tim's
Look
on the
at this
arm
roll
again,
through.
and now he's stepping over the face. He's got a mean bicep slicer from here, too. I felt that before. But it looks like he's going to try to stay on the arm, traditional.
Looking to break this defensive
Yeah, he's not
grip.
quite elbow to elbow. Brent is out of there, and he's going to push him over and come up on top. Never scored a point in that. Was 2 on the sub.
Ooh. Spicy little match.
Yeah, Brent is impressing me with the defense and his ability to re-square his weaponry after the scramble.
Little face push, looking for the supine guard.
Tim's one of those guys who has been coming up for Sunday services a couple times this summer as well. And that's a long drive from Charlotte to Bull and Bear Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, it
So
is.
it's a guy who wants to find the good training, especially when you go to a place like CJJA where it's like every weekend is an open mat full of killers as well. Still looking for that hard training wherever he can find it.
You love to see the dedication. You know, that's a hike.
Absolutely, especially guys that age. When I was that age, I was not trying to better myself and get good at an art form, and
I was
just didn't have my
asleep
head on
until
straight.
noon.
Yeah.
Into our last 3 minutes here of this match.
Now, Brent obviously has done very well for himself defensively, not getting past. His guard has seemed almost unpassable to an extent, in fact, but he's not really offered much in the way of offense either. And when this time does tick out, we got to wrestle a little bit.
It has been a lot of guard playing.
This is what he's been
defending.
looking for. He's been trying to get Tim's hands on the mat.
Yes.
But then when it happened, he didn't do anything. So it's like, I'm so curious if he was looking for like the double uchi hooks in the leg or what was going on there.
I would love to see Brent be a little more active here from the bottom, going for sweeps.
Yeah.
You know, we're in our last 2 minutes. This is kind of the time to open up a little bit.
At a certain point, you have to be willing to take risks when you're this far. I mean, look at Amanda Mazza. Like, she took a risk. She did a almost flying armbar. She did a float over armbar over
And
somebody's
it
guard,
worked.
and she got one of the most incredible finishes I've seen in Toro Cup history. So, when you're down, when you're behind, even if it's 0-0 on the board, I think that's the illusion of Toro Cup. Is just because you see 0-0 on the board, you think, oh, it's even, but oh, wow, almost.
See?
That's what he needs. He
That's
needs
what
to
he
offer
needs.
something. He needs to give Tim more to think about as he tries to pass in. And Tim, if Tim can get head to head or wrist control, I feel like he can start circling more. But Brent's never let him have a grip for free in this match. And Brent's also fighting for his own grips the entire time and never stopped fighting for the double wrist grips. It's just that when he did get them, I didn't see much happen.
Yep.
That ankle tap, that sit-up ankle tap came out of nowhere. I'd like to see more of that.
Tim looking to fight his way through here. Down to 40 seconds left in the match. Ooh, looking for a knee slice.
Tim with the chest and back. Brent has control of that leg.
Man,
Brent always has something that he can work with. He always will take whatever is left of the scramble, and he'll turn it into something, if at least that can get him out of a bad spot.
And if Tim had just settled a little bit, we would have had points on the board.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think it's tough when you're in that spider web position that they were in earlier, because it's also hard to just come up from armbar attack into a mount and score those points and then go back. Or
Yep.
you can't just sit up into mount from there. People are going to stop you usually. So, all right, overtime, which means that the first points scored will win.
Ooh, looking for a sense of urgency here.
And that should be it. Oh, no, Brent Little has freed his hip line. He's almost out of here, and that should be it. Tim Kennett will take it.
There's our back take.
Tim Kennett in overtime with the thinking man's back take.